Hello and welcome to a special series of Blocktalk, which we're calling Blocktalk Explores. These quick listen episodes will be split by topic area, as our guests, who are all industry leaders in Scotland, will be discussing three specific industry topics. Topic number one is education and awareness of the industry and what property factors do. Number two is recruitment within the industry and any challenges that they see. And the third one is customer care. We'll release 2 episodes in week 1, and the third will be released the following week. We hope you enjoy the series, and as always, it would be great to hear your feedback. Hello and welcome to a special series of the Blocktalk podcast, Blocktalk Explores. Today's guest, who is an industry leader in Scotland, is David Doran. David is the Managing Director of Hacking and Patterson Management Services and also a Fellow of the Institute of Residential Property Management. Okay, how is customer service changing?
This incessant need for speed is probably the best way I can describe how customer service. And it's not a good thing. You know, people just want things now and instantly. And technology, as we've talked about, demands this instant response. But to me, all that is growing as mistakes and misinformation. And I think that's people are wanting speed. And I think that, to me, that's a dangerous thing when actually what we need is people with a greater kind of customer-centric skill it's capable of being used over a wide demographic of people. And I suppose I'm looking at a bit industry specific. We're in a very strange industry where we don't have a specific demographic of customer. You know, it ranges from first time buyer 18-year-old to a 96-year-old who's been living in the same flat for 70 years, you know. So yeah. The people on the end of the phone have to have a range of customer skills that you cannot replicate in an email. You cannot replicate it in a text, and you cannot replicate it in a letter. So whilst that's where customer service is moving, and we need to, in many ways, adapt using technology by putting information out there. To me, being able to deal with customers on a face-to-face and a verbal basis, we need to watch that that's, as we've talked about, not going to be lost, because I think that's dangerous. And in a post-COVID world where people are still going through a lot of their problems, a lot of things, and as we've heard previously about IRPM surveys are being quite abusive in their calls to companies like us, other companies, estate agents, nurses, doctors, etc. I think we need to make sure that customer services is getting to a limit. You've talked about it, you know, business relationships of mutual respect. You know, this customer relationship has to be the same, and a lot of our training is around that, and is being the customer and trying to how you would like to be treated and accepting how you would like to be treated as well. I think that's also a big thing we've got to learn from that. But I think customer service is predominantly that is speaking to someone on their level, understanding what their needs are, understanding why they may be the way they are, and finding the solution to that, you know, by whatever means is the easiest way for that individual customer. And I think hopefully, whilst customer service is changing in terms of this speed and written communication, I hope we can kind of stall that and move it back the way a bit, because I don't think that's the right way to go.
Right, okay. So, and this might touch on something we already talked about, but what do you view as the biggest challenge in providing that good level of service then? Is that the technology side of things?
Yeah,
or is that...
getting in front of the customers, to me, is the biggest challenge. And as you say, more and more customers want to do things remotely, but it's not necessarily getting the best result because the level of understanding isn't there. And I suppose the perception that we've talked about is moving away from these perceptions. A lot of our customer service is perceived to be bad through a perception of, I just don't like factors, so what you're telling me isn't right, or what you've done isn't right. And I suppose it's a mixture of education and training that customer service to say, everyone knows nobody gets it right all the time. And when you've got more and more customers, you probably get it wrong more and more. That's just human nature. So it's all about learning from those mistakes, but understanding you will make a mistake, and trying to understand how to get the customers to accept that a mistake will be made. If you make the same mistake twice, absolutely, you should be raised over hot coals. But it's trying to work out that relationship that nobody's in it, for the wrong reasons. We're having the factor owner relationship are both in it for the right reasons. Owners are in it because they've invested large sums of money and want to protect their investment. Factors are in it because they want to protect that investment, because if they don't help protect that investment and buildings start falling down, well, there'll be no factors. So it's a relationship that requires mutual benefit. And it's trying to get that through, that, all we're doing is trying to help.
No, I get it. And I think that kind of leads me on to the kind of last question on customer service. You can't please all of the people all the time, especially when the general public are that's who you're talking to. You can say was the word I was looking for. So, and there's always going to be difficult conversations. And, I had a difficult conversation with someone yesterday. It's a guy that's doing some work in my garden in my house down south. And it was one of those kind of conversations that if it had been had over text or email, it would have gone south very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. But whereas it was actually a very good and productive conversation because we did it over the phone. So difficult conversations are a daily occurrence in everybody's lives, and and lots of people avoid them. Do you know what I mean? And that's not good, because you've got to confront the thing that's there that needs talked about. So how do you manage those difficult conversations? Not necessarily you, but certainly, and how do your employees cope with it?
I think, as you say, you can't avoid difficult conversations. They're always going to be difficult conversations because you're dealing with people's homes. Someone who's getting water pouring in is going to be in a difficult position, and expressing that difficult position to you as if it's your fault. They deep down know it's not your fault, but that's just...
They've got to blame someone.
They've got to blame someone. You're on the end of the phone. I think people avoid difficult conversations for two reasons. One is confidence in their ability to deal with the situation or resolve that conflict, if you want to call it. And two, fear of what their employer will say if they get it wrong. Fear of what will happen to them if that person complains about them. Fear of what will happen to them if that person says, well, I'm going to speak to your manager. So as an organisation, and again, it links back to why having them in team environments in the same place is showing them that, one, have the confidence to say, no, I don't understand. I don't know what the problem is, or I don't know the answer, but you know what? I'm going to go away and find the answer for you. It'll take X amount of time for me to do that. That might not be as quick as you would hope, but that's the reality of it. And here's why. It's going to take me a day to come back to you, or 2 days to come back to you, or an hour. But also have the be empowered by your organisation to say, I'm not accepting that. That is, I'm not going to accept someone treating me this way. I understand you're in a way, but I'm giving you the advance warning that if you continue to treat me this way, that I am empowered to say no. I'm empowered to put the phone down. I'm empowered not to deal with you. And I will be fully supported, irrespective of whether that person tries to go up the ladder. Most of these people will have a conversation in a room of people who can support that they were dealing with the call the way they should be dealing with it. And latterly, again, post-COVID, when the way staff have been treated has got more and more unacceptable. Okay. We found that we've found ourselves in a position of actually calling meetings of the group, because we've got to remember, in a block of 100 flats, whilst the one person is a customer, they're not the customer. Yeah. The customer is the 100 people as a body. So we'll actually call a meeting of the owners and we'll be saying, we have a great relationship with you, everything's working, but we've got one person who is being abusive to us. So you guys need to go and speak to that person and make that stop. Yeah. Or if you support that person, then this relationship is probably at an end anyway. Yeah. Because go and find someone else to work with, because we can't have our staff being subjected to daily, weekly abuse from one party out of 100. When it seems to be a good working relationship. So we have actually walked away from several developments in the last year as a result of that. Just simply because we're not dealing with an individual who's intent on just causing trouble. And again, I stress we are talking about a micro percentage of your customer base, and that's all it is. But with perception, if you have a staff member who has a call from that one person, that can take out their whole week. Yeah. Mentally, the perception of their week is it's been horrific. They feel low at the end of the week. And you know what? They might have had 150 telephone calls, but that one person has treated them so badly that they're left feeling that they've done a bad job and they failed and blah, blah, blah.
That should never be allowed. That should never be allowed.
No. And so as a business, that's how we do it. We make it clear to our staff, don't accept it. And we will support it to the extent that actually we'll lose the business. We would rather lose the business than deal with one obnoxious person out of a 300 block of flats who just is unacceptable behaviour.
Yeah, and that's testament to how you build your culture as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's been great, David. So I have one final question for you. Tell me something about you that people generally are surprised to find out.
I've got two things, I suppose. One that ties in with recruitment and management, which is I have been a manager in Burger King, KFC, and McDonald's. And I started off my careers in those three. And I would suggest, in terms of what I talk, they are the best place to learn customer service, people management service, and time management skills.
I can imagine, yeah.
Phenomenal places in that sense to work in terms of the people that you deal with staff-wise are so widespread. We talked about people not really wanting to work. That's time management, people skills. So I agree, but yes, I have worked for all three fast food chains of the major fast food chains in my early career. The second one is I was a Scottish regional Coca-Cola yo-yo champion. And I won that with 150 loop-the-loops and a Fido in East Kilbride shopping centre some point in the 90s. I can still do the walking the dog. I can still walk the dog.
I do not know even, I wouldn't even attempt. That is absolutely fabulous. That's two amazing things. The most disappointing thing for me, going back to the fast food one thing, is our office is quite close to each other, right? Or our offices are quite close. And on the corner at Charing Cross, what used to be a fabulous Starbucks is now a bloody Burger King. And it's just atrocious. It's just atrocious. I have to say, Starbucks is a company I'm not a great fan of, but Starbucks is coffee I love.
And I'm still trying to lose the weight that I put on working in those three organisations.
Yeah, I'm trying to lose weight from just overeating. Anyway, that's been fabulous, David. Thanks for coming on again.
That was really good. Excellent. Brilliant.
Cut.